Hey everybody, welcome to Life Made Simple. Today we are replacing Serpentine belt and alternator on a 2013 Chevy Silverado. Disconnect the negative or ground cable on the battery just so nothing happens while I'm working on it. 10mm nut. Loosen it up, the cable, tuck it down behind the side of the battery, and we'll get to step two. Step two, we're going to remove the serpentine belt here. Just get a long handle ratchet with a 15mm socket. I'm going to stick it on here, around here, because I need enough slack for it to come back off of this when I'm done. So I just put it on there, push down, relieve the tension on there, slip the belt off, bring it back up, and the belt comes off. Just remember how it goes back on. I'm going to be replacing the belt, so I'm going to not reuse this one. Otherwise I would have left it kind of where it was, so I remembered how. If you don't remember how, look up the map on how to reroute the belt. So let's move on to removing the alternator. Pull off the cover, pull up, and then basically just slide it forward. Put it off to the side. There's a couple things we need to remove. One is this plastic clip. Should just be able to squeeze and pull it out. The other one here, this is probably going to be 10mm. This is the battery cable. This won't be on very tight, and when you put it back on, or when I put it back on, the new alternator shouldn't be overly tight either. Okay, alternator is now disconnected. Well, there's two 15mm bolts that I gotta remove. One's here, and the other one is here. Both the same length. While you've got the belt off, you might as well spin the pulleys. Make sure they all sound okay. Power steering. Is the idler sounds right. It's belt tensioner. I might need to change that actually later. It's making a little bit more noise than I expect. But anyway, keep going. So now we've got the bolts removed. We're gonna pull that alternator out. Alright, so to get the alternator out, sometimes you just got to pry up a little bit. It might just be a little bit stuck there. So just pry up a little bit. Probably got to do the same thing on the other side. There we go. Now let's go compare it with the other one. Same style, bolts on the bottom. That part looks good. It's got the connector. Flip it this way. You see it's got the connector here, terminal here, same height. This is a genuine AC Delco part, so we should be good to go. Let's get this installed. So more than likely this isn't gonna just slot in here. Just gonna see here, measure it up. And I say that because most likely there's not enough space in here, but let's try it anyway. Nope, it's like wedged. So we're just gonna get these little sleeves to come back a bit, but we're not gonna hammer that in case we hurt this stuff, but we'll use a quick little trick. We're gonna stick this bolt through for the washer there. We'll stick an oversized socket that's larger than that spot. Stick a washer there. Put a nut here. And all we're going to do is just tighten this a little bit so that it tries to push that through. And that's all we're doing. Oops. As we do this, we're just squeezing that sleeve, and it's moving itself towards here. That's it. And the reason to do it this way in general is, this one might be okay. It looks like it's steel actually, but maybe it's aluminum. A lot of times these things are aluminum. You start hammering on them, it cracks it, and if it cracks the frame for the alternator mount, then you got a bigger problem, because now you got to replace that. So if you use this, and I use some penchant spray first, of course, you just use this and it gently pushes that back without damaging anything. I'll just repeat that to the other side. This one might be a little bit trickier because the bit is a bit long for that side. Alright, so for this side, the other bolt that I had is too long, so we're going to use a slightly shorter one here. Alright, that should be enough. One installed here. Slot it. Pull this up. Okay, so basically it'll just lie in there for a sec. Thread the bolts through. And get them hand started. Right. Okay, and now we tighten it up. Just torque them down to 37 foot-pounds. So I'm just going to evenly tighten it up first, and then I'll tighten it down. Alright, 37 foot-pounds on both. Reconnect the cables. So first the battery terminal cable there. Turn that back on. This one, like I said, just snug it hand tight. Don't over tighten this thing. It's enough. It's not going anywhere. Put the boot over it. Protected. Plug our clip back in. Alright, now it's time to put the belt back on. It's pretty close. The new one will be often slightly shorter, just because the old one has stretched over time. GM parts should have the same part number. So let me see if there's still a part number on this belt anyway. GM 126-26222 WFB 6PK 2370. Perfect, let's go. The belt, and because it's been sitting there folded on the shelf, it's a little bit wonky. It's got all these folds in it. It tends to pop off of the pulleys. So what I'm trying to do is try to apply some tension to it somewhere. So while I bring it down, Hope it doesn't fly off of that pulley. So it's over the alternator, over the power steering pump, up and around the water pump, down and around the crankshaft pulley. I'm going to take it off of the tensioner so I have enough slack to get it underneath and around the crankshaft. Alright, so now I'm just going to pull it off the idler pulley. So I got it around the tensioner. Okay, so we'll basically just do a quick check before we slap this thing on. Got everything going in the right direction. It's going to go underneath the idler pulley. It's going to go over the alternator, around the power steering pump, up over the water pump, down and around over the crankshaft, up over the belt tensioner, and then it comes back here under the idler. Reverse procedure. I basically got to bring this back down, loosen the tension. Okay, loosen the tensioner. While I do that, I'm going to bring this down under the idler pulley. There. Okay, so now let's secure everything. Now this belt is tighter than the original, I know that. So there's markings on the tensioner, the belt tensioner, and the marking was further back than it is now because the belt hasn't stretched out like the old one. But it's still in the acceptable range, and I'll just zoom in on that so you can see it. So right here, this is the belt tensioner. Here's the range marks. When I first pulled, the original belt off of it, this marking was over here. And so now that this new belt is on and it's a lot tighter, it's over here instead of back here, but it's still within this range. And that's an appropriate range. So after this, I'll just double check the belt. We will reconnect the battery and then fire it up. Okay, reconnect the battery. Okay, here we go. Start it up. And that's all it takes to replace an alternator on a 2013 Chevy Silverado. Pretty easy. One of the good things about working on a Silverado or a GMC is that it's pretty easy to work on these engines. If you found my video helpful, let me know by hitting that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to be notified of our latest tool review and DIY videos.